Are you happy at work? Do you like your job? Hey, welcome to the Unleash Your Greatness Within podcast. In today's success interview, it was my privilege to interview William Vanderbloemen, who just wrote this new book titled Work How You Are Wired. Yes, let's get into it.
You already know. My passion and my mission to help you unleash your greatness within. My heart goes out to the underdogs that's on their way. If you think you can go from good to great, okay, let's motivate. GreatnessWithin.com. TJ Hoisington. GreatnessWithin.com. Oh, if you dreaming it, believe in it, work hard for it, and in the process serve others in a positive way. Think you can do it.
Yeah, think about it. You have a job. You want to enjoy your job. You're going to be working for a lot of years. So how do you align yourself in the job that best aligns with your individual makeup? What does that look like? What makes for a happy job? What makes for you to find more fulfillment? That is what this book and this interview that we're about to jump into, that's what all this is all about. William Vanderbloemen, what a good guy. And he kind of details it out, well-spoken. He details out, hey, what it takes to find more happiness in your job or work or what have you. All right. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, hey, do me a favor, click that notification bell so that you'll be notified anytime I come out with a new success interview like this one. And if you're downloaded this from Apple Podcasts, thank you for being a part of my Greatness Within community. I really appreciate your support and your follow and so forth. So really appreciate that. As you know, I get the opportunity to interview best-selling authors like William, CEOs, thought leaders, actors, professional athletes, and more. And that's part of why I bring these people to you so that you get that edge on how to be more successful, achieve more, but also find more happiness. So without any further ado, let's jump right into this interview with William. All right? All right. William, welcome to the Unleash Your Greatness Within podcast.
TJ, thanks so much for having me back. It was just, I walked away energized after our last chat. It was really fun. You've asked good questions, great host, and super glad to be here. I'm sure you've got a whole lot more listeners than you did last time we visited. I run an executive search firm. It's called Vanderbloemen. Been doing that for about 17 years. And I don't really do much search work anymore. We've got a team that's better than I am at that. So now I do a lot of research and figure out out of all this weird data we've gathered over 17 years, what can we figure out that would help people? So a couple years ago, wrote a book called Be the Unicorn, where we asked the question of the very top performers we've ever interfaced with, what, if anything, do they have in common? And we found 12 habits that they all have. We kind of leaned into that research and came up with another study project, like how do we help people find work they're going to like and they're good at? Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, you know what?
Here we go. Yes.
Uh-huh.
There we go.
So basically we studied the people we know. Here's the thing, TJ. Most Americans don't like their job.
Yep.
And you can go to hundreds of different studies on the internet. And if it's on the internet, it's true, right? So you can go to hundreds of different and just find varying degrees of the same answer. Most Americans don't like the job.
Right.
And I think that's true worldwide because we have the best country in the planet. And then if you ask managers, well, how well are your teams doing? Most managers say, average at best. And all of that research and statistics comes down to one sentence. Most people don't like their job and aren't doing well at it. So what can we learn from people who do love their job and are good at it about how to map your next move? And you say, well, I'm 30 or I'm 40 or I'm 50. This would have been great in high school, college. No. People are changing jobs. They're changing careers more than ever. So hopefully this will be a resource where we have this weird seat, TJ, where we've interviewed, hundreds of thousands of people cumulatively. And we've got some really interesting data that shows us something about what it means to be good at your job and happy at it at the same time.
No, I love it. And you're right. I mean, I just saw in the news recently, I think Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. is talking about raising the retirement age, which means not only are you going to change a lot of jobs throughout your lifetime, it looks like to save, maybe we're not getting political here or anything, but to save Social Security, they might be raising the retirement age. So listen, I agree. Everybody's got to work. You got to provide. Why wouldn't you be in a job that makes you happy, as you the term you use, right? And I think that's a valuable term. And enjoy what you do, because if you enjoy it, you'll likely do it better, right?
That's right. Well, I enjoy playing golf, TJ, but if I tried to feed my family by means of my golf game,
Right.
we would be a skinny, skinny family. So
No,
it's not just what do you enjoy, but it's what do you enjoy and what are you wired up to do? You know,
right.
I have. So can we do true confessions? This is get a little
Absolutely.
vulnerable.
Let's be real. Let's get real, or let's
I
not play. Yeah, here we go.
have a boss, and that boss, and you say, "Oh, it's his wife." Well, no, that's there are a couple bosses I answer to. This one is 10 pounds, and it's a little poodle named Mabel.
Mm.
And Mabel is the first little dog I've had that I liked. And we'll go walk, and we walked by a Great Dane the other day, and she just tore into that. Like, I got you. I'm gonna come get you. I am. She is convinced she could take that Great Dane down.
Hmm.
Ain't gonna happen. Like
Right.
10-pound dogs are not built for that. So we're all built differently, and how we're built can unlock some of what will give us energy as we work. We were made to work. It's supposed to
Yes.
be enjoyable, not a problem. So hopefully this will help.
Yeah, you talk about in the book. I put a note on that last comment that you just said. You said, and I'm going to paraphrase here. You said the 17th and the 18th century Enlightenment thinkers had the audacity to think that human beings deserve the opportunity to be happy. And then you go on talking about happiness, but this does not mean that it's your employer's duty to make their employees happy. This simply means they cannot create hostile work environments. Would you speak to that
That's
real
right.
quick?
Yeah, no, I just think we've grown up with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as catchphrases. That's a pretty new idea historically,
Mhm.
that people should have a chance to pursue happiness. Used to be, well, a very primitive example of that is I grew up in a small town, furniture town, built a lot of furniture. My dad was a lawyer for a lot of the furniture companies, and people would just say to me, "Which law school are you going to?" Not do you want to be a lawyer, but like it was assumed family business. So you're going to keep, if you were in the, way back ages and your dad was a cobbler, you were going to be a cobbler or a blacksmith or whatever the thing was. You didn't
Right.
get to pursue anything. And so this idea that we get to pursue happiness is amazing. However, I think some people think that means I'm entitled to people making me happy. And that's an entirely different thing than pursuing
Yes.
happiness. See,
Agreed.
it didn't say life, liberty, and the reception of happiness. It says life, liberty, and the pursuit. And you can't be happy in a job you're not wired to do. You just can't.
No, totally.
Uh,
And there's a part in the book where you talk about we are at, as of a year ago, 2024, a 31% 10-year low when it comes to employee engagement. And how does that relate to happiness and also all the research? Tell us a little bit about the research and how
yeah.
all that ties together that people can apply.
Well, the research was just asking what are the people that are happiest at their jobs and best at them? Where is the alignment between their personality and the type of job that they're doing? So we sort of reversed engineered everything, and we found 12 distinct lanes. They kind of line up with the 12 unicorn habits. Frankly, we're finding people buy both books if they hadn't already bought
Right.
Unicorn and read them together because it's like, you know, work how you're wired is going to help you find a job you like. Be the unicorn is going to help you get promoted within that job. So
Right.
it's an interesting tandem. But the 12 lanes that we discovered are basically lanes that show you where you're going to get your energy. Like there's some if you hired me to be your bookkeeper, I'd either get fired or we'd all go to jail because I'm no good at it.
Yeah,
You
me
know,
too.
it's like, and I'm guessing you don't look good in orange, so you wouldn't want, right? So, steady, repetitive, over and over tasks done day in, day out. That is not me. And people say, well, I'm not that either. I have an education. No, 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 no. Here in Houston, Denton Cooley was one of two really famous heart surgeons who basically created modern heart theory and surgery. And everybody says he's so brilliant. And when he was old and retired and about to die, he said, I got to do that same surgery 10,000 times in a row. I'm so lucky. And if you told me to do something 10,000 times in a row the same way, I would lose my mind and you would fire me. I'm wired differently than he is. It's not a measure of success. It's a matter of wiring. And so my wiring is, where's the next party? We go into this, part of the research is do a little bit of, I don't know if you're old enough to remember those books, Choose Your Own Adventure, where you'd read and you say, well, if you want to go through this door, turn to page 56. And if you want to go through
Oh
that
yeah.
door, turn to
Okay.
page
Yeah, I got you.
35. And you'd kind of pick your own. That's kind of how this is wired. If
Yep.
you will learn yourself a little bit, and if you really want to take it to a scientific level, know your disc score, the disc
Yep.
inventory,
Yes.
know your Enneagram number. And a bonus material is if you took our unicorn, the Vander index. So we've taken all three of those indices and we've said, how do those three intersect with someone who really likes their job and is really good at it? And how do we sort of reverse engineer that so people can learn themselves a little bit, read about these 12 lanes, say, that's one that would be good. There's another one. Oh, that one I need to stay away from. And, I don't think I'm any smarter than anybody else, but sometimes expertise comes through repetitions.
Hmm.
And we've
For
placed so
sure.
many people in jobs over the years. It's like we're learning a little bit about what makes people happy and not.
I was doing executive coaching for a company with our leadership academy, and I remember I was on working with someone, and part of it was some private coaching was in the agreement and so forth. So all 30 of these people, I would have these conversations with every month, and one of the ladies was a store manager, a store with about 45 employees. On and she was doing great. She was a hard worker. She had a good attitude. All those great. She was wonderful. But privately, about 3 months into the conversation, she said, "TJ, I'm not really happy." I said, "Take me back to a time when you felt like, hey, you were thriving, you were good, you were happy." She goes, "Really? It was when I was in the inventory where I only worked with three people and we just basically did numbers and spreadsheets and I
Wow.
enjoyed the
Wow.
back of the room stuff, not the front sales manager type stuff." I said, "Really? Would you be okay?" I asked, "if I bring that up with the executives in a positive way, just to say, hey, do you think there's a better fit somewhere else?" She's a good worker, and that's why she was in the Leadership Academy. Everybody knew she was good. But what if we could get more from her by her
Mhm.
enjoying her work more? And
That's right.
about 6 months later or so, she approved of it and so forth, and it became a little bit of a conversation. She ended up being hired or promoted as the VP of inventory of all 12 different sister companies. I'm telling you, getting people, it makes me think of, I'm just thinking about it right now, good to great, right? Getting people on the right seats on the right
Right
bus,
seats
right?
on the right
Kind of
bus.
a thing.
That's so good. And, as much as I love the idea, if you think you can, that's a great book title. Somebody should write a book like that. Uh, I may think I should win the NBA slam dunk competition,
Yeah,
but I
totally.
can't.
Yep.
And that's because I'm Dutch and we're not born for slam dunks. We're born for wind resistance, short and squatty. And it's just,
It just
it's
is.
not going to happen. So how do you figure out where are the things that you are either not going to happen or not be fun for you, and then go to the places where you'll gain energy? And great example. I hate being alone. I'm as introverted, extroverted as they come. I just,
Yeah.
you know, but if you put me on a practice screen and tell me I can practice for 2 or 3 hours without talking to anyone, listening to anything on my phone, looking at my phone, I'm in heaven. And everybody's like, that's weird, William. I really don't. But my wife's like, I don't believe that. Well, it's true, but it's something I love doing. Now, I could be a lot better at it. I can't make a career at it, but if you can find something you love doing that you're good at, I mean, you're going to spend most of your waking hours as an adult at your job. And I would have said from age 20 to 60, but it looks like we're headed later now, according to TJ's right. So,
Right.
so life's too short to not like most of your waking hours.
Yep, I
Why
agree.
not find a place where you can settle in? And then once you're there, I mean, really start to say, how do I behave? How do I practice unicorn habits in a way that allows me to get promoted over and over and over again? It's a pretty cool little formula.
No, I love it. In your book, as I was researching the book and reading it, which I did, I happened to get an email from the Wall Street Journal, and it talked about a 10-year study of over 200,000 workers and 30 managers. The study suggested that the top leaders and managers do a good job steering workers into roles that they are better fitted for. And I think that just mirrors exactly what you're saying. So part of it is just awareness, figuring out how you tick, how you operate, and then aligning yourself better with whatever that role or opportunity is, right?
And that takes hard work both from the employer and the employee. The employee has to be willing to learn themselves. Not everybody wants to do that. I mean, if you think you like learning about yourself, let me ask you, do you remember the first time you heard your voice on a recording?
Oh yeah, and I was not comfortable with it.
No. Who is this idiot? He doesn't sound like me at all.
No, I was embarrassed. I was like, should I really? In fact, it's on the tape sitting right here. The power to shape
It's
your life. I just go, that
that
was
is
me. Anyway,
That's how much we like self-exploration. We just don't. We would
yeah,
rather
yeah,
look at other people and point out flaws in them than actually look in the mirror. So it takes work on the employee's part to say, okay, I'm good at this, I'm not good at it. It also takes work on the employer's part. Here's what I mean. Lots of organizations are very hesitant to fire people. And you get someone who's really struggling and they're not where they should be. A lot of managers just say, well, move them to a new department and see how they do. Well, that might be a great idea, repotting. It's also a classic move of a lazy manager.
mhm,
So if the repotting can happen with some intention, like, okay, let's discover who you are. Let's discover what you're wired to do. Let's see if we have an opening there. Let's try a strategic repotting, not just a, I don't want to fire and move to another manager. Then you've got some magic. It's going to require work, though. Not hard work, not impossible work, just some work. The employee has to say, I
yep,
will hear myself recorded on a cassette if we have those anywhere anymore. And I won't complain about it. And the employer saying, I'm not just shuffling you around to another manager to get rid of a problem. I want to find a place that you can flourish.
love it. Harvard Business Review a couple years ago pointed out that 95% of us think we're self-aware, but only 15% of us actually are. So
Oh,
I
dude,
agree with you. Go
when we
ahead. It's
did
going to
the
take some work, is all I was going to say. Yeah.
yeah, well, we did the Be a Unicorn book. One of the 12 habits unicorns have is self-awareness. And we asked them, we surveyed 30,000 of them,
Yeah.
force rank these 12 habits. What are you best at? What are you worst? There were all kind of different best answers, just depending on who was, some of them said one thing, some of them said the only universal answer was self-awareness was ranked last by the unicorns. I'm worst at this. And they're the ones who are better than the rest of us. It was really strange because they said, you know, I'm not very good at this. And then we did a survey of 250,000 people, just normal, everyday people. Would you rank yourself well below average, sort of below, middle, sort of above, way above? Where would you put yourself in these following traits? And one of them was self-awareness, and 91% of them ranked themselves a 4 or a 5, strong or really strong. There is no sample group on the planet where 90 any percent is better than half. Like not you can't have 90% of people above average. Only 50% are above average. But we're, as you pointed out so much more quickly, we really think we're better at self-awareness than we are. And the people who are good at it are like, I got to get better at that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's a dirty little secret, but if you'll uncover that willingness to discover yourself, you'll change your whole life.
Well, I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know if this bears true, but if someone has the desire to self-improve and grow and has that positive outlook and so forth, they're likely going to be more open to doing the work to figure out what makes them tick because they see the long game, how it's going to benefit them by being more self-aware. Because as leaders, for example, are more self-aware, they'll become more aware of how they treat other people, how they lead, and so forth. So that self-awareness piece is and these tools like DISC and others, right, and your index and so forth really help people identify.
It's never been an easier time to do self-discovery. So many online tools, and frankly, all this conversation about working on myself, that wasn't even a conversation 10, 15 years ago. Now it's a real thing.
Yeah, no.
And yeah, it's a great time to be alive if you want to learn about yourself and how to improve.
And there's so many tools for it. Okay, I love this. In your book, I'm just going to share it for the audience. They got to go to the book to read it because you give a lot of explanations and so forth, but just want to hear your thoughts on it. 6 reasons why people hate their jobs. Maybe we did this last time. Maybe we'll just go through it really quick. And if
Yeah,
you have a
sure.
quick bullet point of each one.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's great.
Okay. 6 reasons why people hate their job. Number 1, toxic work environment.
100%. People, sometimes we have companies where everybody just wants to get along and nothing gets done. But more often, we have companies where everybody wants to get a bunch of stuff done and we don't care whether people step on each other. And that if your vision is what you're trying to get done, your culture is how you're going to behave while you get it done. Most people, when they get in a toxic situation, they're out. And usually it's the manager, TJ. Usually it's not the whole team. When people join a company for a cause, they
Yes,
leave a company because of a manager.
absolutely. That's what
That's
my
why they need
research
good
shows too.
coaching. Do you know anybody who can give them good coaching?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, number 2, bad management. That was number 2.
There you go. And most of the time, if you're managing, you say, well, I'm not a bad manager. Ask yourself this. Do your people know what they're being measured on? Do they have clear goals? Have you given them the tools and resources to accomplish those goals? Those are the 2 top reasons why people say they're leaving a manager. They'll say, well, he's a jerk. But if you really drill down and say, what do you mean? Say, well, I don't even know what I'm supposed to get done. Oh, that's what
Yeah.
I'm supposed to do? I don't have the resources to do that. If you can solve those 2 things and not be a jerk, you won't be a bad manager.
Let me add to that research. Yeah, I think one of the, unclear expectations is a large reason why people are unhappy within their jobs. A manager, supervisor clarifies that, sets the goal, sets the vision, and then supports the people. I tell you what, it'll make a big difference. Number 3, lack of work-life balance. You know what? I'm hearing more of this as I do training and so forth.
Yeah, I think that I would use a different phrase. I don't know that there's work-life balance as much as there is cadence. Now, what do I mean with that? Well, there's some people who are like, there's a prevailing sentiment now, particularly among, my kids in Gen Z and millennial, more Gen Z. They're like, I go to work from 8 to 5 and I put it away at 5. Well, that's great if you want to spend your whole career saying, would you like fries with that? That'll work really well, right? But if you
Yep,
want to
yep.
go somewhere and get promoted, you're going to have to work past those hours. The
That's
trick
a good
is,
point. That's a good
how
point.
much can I work past those hours without burning up my life? What's the cadence? There's seasons around here. In January, our search firm goes crazy because everyone on the planet is going to lose 10 pounds and they're going to balance their checkbook and they're going to get a dream job. So we're swamped. And we take the last week of the December completely off. I don't care what you have going on. Turn off your computer. Don't turn it back on. And when we hit January, leave it on a lot. So it's not a steady 9 to 5 work-life balance. It's more of a cadence. And there are going to be seasons where you have to run hard, but there have got to be seasons where you can run slower. And I think if both employee and employer can get a sense of that, we'll eliminate a lot of the I can't stand working here. Yes, I know we have to work hard. It's Christmas and we're a retailer and 40% of our revenue comes in December. So I have no life then. But in January, it gets better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Or a tax accountant is busy at a certain time of the
Yes,
year versus other times of the year, depending on different dates and so forth.
that's right.
I was coaching a CFO who told me in the coaching that no, she was telling me that she was working really hard, but she enjoyed it. I said, "Well, tell me what your day looks like." She says, "I get up at 4:30 in the morning. I go for a run. I then come home, eat breakfast, get ready, go to work. I get in an hour before everybody else. I do all my work so then I can spend the rest of the day helping everybody else with their work." And then I said, "Oh, wow, that's a really high standard right there." I said, "What's it like after you go home?" Oh, this is what triggered it is she was struggling a little bit with her husband who couldn't understand why she would work so hard. So she would come home from work and then have dinner and then work from, I think it was 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. And her husband was like, "Listen, I don't feel like we have a life here. I mean, this is," but I asked her, I said, "Could you see yourself doing it any other way?" I mean, I believe, William, that all emotional pain comes from expectations not being met, that everything
100%.
we do because at some level it satisfies us. And for her, that strategy for maybe she was extra hard on herself or whatever, she held herself at this high standard. She just loved putting in all that time. On a leadership note, though, the one thing I discovered through that is that she realized through our coaching calls that she had become the bottleneck to the growth of her team because she was
Wow.
always there helping the team, always there to answer the questions and so forth. Whereas if she let go of some of that and started to delegate more and started to expect them to do their job better without needing her, then they would grow into their positions better and so forth. And over time, she got better about that. But the truth is, she still gets up early. She still likes to work late. And it was just a key of finding balance within
That's
that and
right.
her relationship and so forth. Anyway, I don't,
100%. Yeah. Yeah. So good.
bad pay. What's your thought on it? This is another reason why people hate their jobs is pay. What's your thought on that?
Yeah. Well, pay is a real thing. And, for the first time in a long, long time, I was listening to research just yesterday from Scott Galloway that says, for the first time in a long time, people that are 25 to 40 are worse off than their parents or grandparents at the same life stage. The affordability of life is just at a place that's become untenable in a lot of ways, and a lot of people
Mhm.
that age are saddled with some debt their parents and grandparents never would have known about. So pay has got to be in place for the employer. It is also an endless game that you can't win.
Yeah,
And we
right.
saw this 5 years ago in the Great Resignation, which we actually
Yep.
called before it was a thing.
Mhm.
Column I had for Forbes said this is coming, and it did, and it turned into how do I get and keep the best people? I'll just pay them more, and the pay scales went through the roof. Um, no one ever got to enough. So I think it's just important for employers to know what actually is a fair wage and am I doing it in a full package,
Right.
healthcare
That's
benefits,
right.
mental
That's right.
health, all of that. Um, and if they're not addressing it and paying well, you will lose your people. Some people choose to do that. We're going to keep them 3 or 4 years. They're probably going to move for something better paying, and we're going to replace them with young people that, hey, if that's your model and it works, then that's your model. But if you're losing people regularly, the first place to look is the manager that's causing all those losses. And the second thing is their compensation.
Okay, that's good to know. All right. My only issue with pay is I do think it needs to be fair. But like you said, it's a temporary motivation factor in the sense that if you pay someone at the end of the year a bonus and it's, let's say, $50 and you get $50 the next year, it's almost like it's not enough, right? It should be more.
That's
And
right.
so it's kind of a carrot and a stick in a sense. So fear
100%.
motivation is temporary. Incentive motivation is temporary. Ultimately, we want to move people to purpose motivation, and simultaneously have fair pay, like you said, associated with that, but really driven by purpose motivation. I remember in Daniel Pink's book on motivation, he talked about the creators of Wikipedia, how they worked for years for no pay because they were driven by a deep sense of purpose
Yes.
behind building that system. Anyway, just a thought as a side
Yeah,
note.
no, it's great. And, it took me forever to realize if you're paying people well and if they're really in love with why you're doing what you're doing, they'll be motivated enough and they're still competitive. We
Yes,
give our salespeople we're going to buy everybody a Chick-fil-A meal with regular fries, but the leading salesperson gets a large fry. Well, you'd think I'd offered them $500,000. I mean, it's like, there's a game I can win. Okay. Some people are like that, but it doesn't have to be a money thing. If you're paying fairly and
exactly.
your why is good, you can turn it into some other gamification and not get caught up in the wage race.
Love it. Wage race. That's good. All right. Number 5 is lack of opportunity for advancement.
Yeah, and I don't know how to fix that.
Here's a thought. Here's a thought. I remember not a VP, but a director of a company was saying my direct supervisor, who's the VP, hasn't sat down with me to help me plan out my career path.
Yeah.
I remember being on that coaching call thinking, why are you giving someone else control over your career path? You set the path, you design it, and then you go become the person that will get those promotions and so forth, and you go create those opportunities that will open up for you. It's just, I guess, a different way of thinking.
It is. I think that people hate their job because they say there's nowhere to get promoted. And that's true. I mean, our company, we're 40 or 50 employees. The senior leadership table's full. It will change sooner or later. Somebody will leave, but it may be full for a while and there's no place for anyone to go.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
a real thing. But I do think you can combat it. And you touched on it. If you talk to Gen Zs about what they want out of their job, they want some career counseling. And frankly, they're just behind. They don't know how to interview well. They've grown up. They're the first group to grow up with an iPhone natives. And they are severely lacking in social skills and professional skills.
Yes.
So they're wanting coaching. And if that coaching means, okay, you've kind of come to the end of your promotions here at the company, but you're really positioned for greater, maybe it's on us to say we only get to keep people for a certain amount of time, and then the good ending is to launch them into something bigger and better. So I don't know that you have to have a promotion as much as take time to give the professional coaching, and that'll help people be happier while they're with you.
And that may be the coaching. It may be just providing your employees with some life skills, right? With some ongoing
That's right.
training and development, right? People want that. They need that. Anyway. And then the last
100%.
one on the hate their job side is lack of purpose, which we kind of talked about that earlier. Just having a sense of purpose for doing what you're doing and the way you're spending your job hours.
Well, and that gets back to working how you're wired. I mean, you might not have a company that has this giant purpose. I mean, I guess you could come up with one for nearly any organization, but if you're making at a company that makes doorstops for a living, you got to reach pretty hard to get to the eternal why of doorstops, right?
Oh yeah, no, totally.
It's not gonna.
Yeah.
But what if you put your employees in a place where they naturally feel wired, like sales? I love sales. My wife hates it. She's more productive than I am, but put me in the sales job for doorstops. That's a challenge. Like, put me in the place that I'm wired to be. And the why of the company doesn't have to be, let's change the world through doorstops, right? Instead, it's, we're going to be the best at what we make, and we're going to put you in a place where you're wired, and then you'll flourish. So if you're a manager listening, sometimes it's not, oh man, I got to find a way that we're changing the world for good through our company that does something that's sounds less than, eternal. I think people want to know that they are where they should be, either for a giant cause or out of their wiring. And if you can show them, if you go through this as a team and say, you're wired this way, you're right, which gives them permission to feel energized about work, or a permission slip to say, maybe I should consider a different role in the company.
Love it. I do think that there are aspects of any job that we may not like. So we
100%.
have to, right. I just know when I started my company, I wanted to be this motivational speaker and later become an author. That was the end goal. I didn't realize when I first started the company, I'd have to do bookkeeping. I'd have to do all these things that needed to be done were up to me because I was small. And so
That's right.
sometimes you got to pay the price with some of those things. So you're not, do you think it's possible for everybody to be happy 100% in their job?
I think it's possible for people to be in a job they know they're wired to do, and that'll carry them through the hard times. Every job's got stuff you don't like. It
Yeah,
just
yeah,
some people choose not to do that. I can't help them much. That's like, I've provided you
yeah.
a wonderful treadmill. If you don't get on it, then I can't, there's not much to do.
Yeah,
But what
yeah.
we found in this data is here is a very clear pathway to understanding yourself, finding work that matches that so that you will feel energized and it'll push you through the days that are hard. Every job's got hard things, but when you're doing what you were made to do, those hard things seem a lot smaller.
What I like about the book is, as I was going through it, you use a lot of examples from the research, right?
Yep.
Meaning actual stories of people that describe their experience based
Yes.
on, different aspects and traits and so forth. So I think that's really helpful for people to see the realism of the work that you're putting forward. Real
Thanks.
quick, here are the 6 keys. We don't need to go through each one, but here are the 6 keys for being happy at work. Here are and pause. I'll go slow. Pause me if you want to jump in. Number one, having a good boss. We've talked about that. Number two, work-life balance. We've talked about that. Number three, making enough money. We've talked about that. Autonomy and flexibility. That's something we haven't talked about, right? Having some ownership for your job and flexibility and some trust involved there. I think that's important, right? Would you add anything there?
100%. But with that comes, accountability. Like
Yes.
you can't have autonomy without being able to own your stuff. And some people
Yes.
haven't figured that out. I want autonomy. Well, then, and it's like what you probably experienced when you started your company, TJ. Like, isn't it gonna be great? You work for yourself. You do whatever you want. You
But
no.
if I don't get up every day, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. Number five, we talked about this professional growth in some form or another. I think there's a lot of research that shows that's necessary. And then number six, meaningful work, right? I
Yeah,
think
if you see those six, what drives people crazy and what gives them fulfillment is just mirrors of the same shadow sides.
yeah, it really
You know,
yeah, it
bad and the
really
good.
is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's not
that's a
rocket science.
no, it's not rocket science. That's a good reminder for everybody. Culture. Let's just do a couple more of these. Culture. How does culture? What was it? Peter Drucker would say, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast," or something like that. Right? What was
That's
it?
exactly right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
exactly right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think culture is the how we behave while we're at work. And if you've got a bunch of people who are miserable with their job, they're probably going to be miserable toward you. If you've
Mhm.
got a bunch of people who are happy about the work they're doing, they're probably likely to be in a better mood with you. So, if you put people in the wrong seats on the bus, I don't care how many extra coffee makers you have or ping pong tables or what have you. When
Yeah.
they're actually doing their work, they feel like they're making bricks out of straw instead of doing the thing they were made to do. And it just feels like slavery rather than a flex. And it ought to be a flex of what you're able to do. The
That's
culture
good.
will get better if people are working how they're wired. We wrote a whole nother book called Culture Wins that talks about how you build a winning workplace, and it's got a lot of research in it. That would be a
Oh,
fantastic resource for people that want to talk about workplace culture. But
okay.
as it relates to finding job you're wired to do, finding the work you're wired to do will innately help culture because people are happy about the tasks they're being asked to do rather than unhappy.
Love it. Love it. All right. Listen, I love this. You talk about curious in the book, and you say this. Some people just know that everything. By the way, I'm reading this because when I read this part of the book, I was like, "Yeah, that's me. That's
Ah,
totally me right there." Some people just know that everything's going to be okay. They don't know how, but they know it's all going to work out. And along the way, they're going to see everything, learn everything, and do everything they can because life's a buffet. You won't see a curious person going hungry. I love that,
that's
right?
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm always encouraging people to be more curious. I think it's just a human skill that as you relate to people, if you're just more curious, you ask more questions, you listen, you try to understand and empathize a little bit. I think you can go a long way with that. Anyway.
And I think it wins points, TJ. Yeah. It's been said by a lot of people, I don't know who originally quoted it, but if you really want to be interesting, then be interested.
Love it.
Ask people more questions than you tell them about yourself, and you'll walk away from the interaction. People go, I really like talking to TJ. He was awesome. That's interesting. I'm a spiritual guy, you know that, but so I like studying, what did Jesus do about this, that, or the other?
Sure.
He actually asked 330 some questions in the New Testament, and he gave far fewer commands than that. People think of Jesus saying shall and shout and all that. No, he asked a lot more questions. And that's just made me say, I need to be better at that. I need to figure out how to ask better questions. It leads you to work you're wired to do.
And it is a sign of a good conversationalist. If you can ask questions, listen, ask more questions, listen.
That's right.
Right. Anyway. All right. Let's end here. The first line of the conclusion, I love it and I resonate with it, is you deserve to be happy. You deserve a job you love and a life that fulfills you. Any last thoughts that you would share with the audience in terms of anything related to finding that job, living that job, and so forth?
Yeah, no, if your job is to sit and scroll social media all day and you want to just, get bed and brain rot, I don't have a great job for you. If you want to sit still and not do anything, I don't have a great job for you. But I think when people get out and get active, they realize I was meant to be active. When people get in a job they love, they realize I was actually made to work. I would go crazy being retired right now. And if you can tap into how do I find the thing I'm really going to like doing, not how do I get a bunch of free money and then sit around and scroll. How do I find the thing that I was made to do? If you'll go there and you'll follow the map that we put in this book, you'll find a path towards spending most of your waking hours doing something you actually enjoy and are good at. And life's too short not to have that.
Love it. Well, you are a great guest as always. I think your work is powerful and meaningful. So I would encourage everyone to go out and get a copy of the book. William, where can they get the book?
So my last name's just screwed up. If they go to Amazon and just try typing Vanderbloemen however they want.
However they want.
Yeah. And if you want to go to our site, you'll see all kinds of things about it. So it's just vanderbloemen.com. Again, go to Google and just try spelling it. You'll get back to us. It's that messed up.
It's that messed up. Dude, you're awesome, man. Thanks for being on the Unleash.
TJ. Always good to see you, my friend.
You bet. Yeah. You have a great rest of your day and success with the book.
Thanks. Take care.